Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. If you're attending, and you can add your name and affiliation to the list of attendees, just so we have some idea of who regularly attends the call, that would be appreciated. And I'll pause here. We've got our agenda before us, but if there's something that's missing or something you'd like to add, you can either chime in now or you can add it in at the any other business section at the end. If anybody wants to jump in now, I'll pause. And no lightning talk scheduled this week. If you've got one that you'd like to give, let me know. Get that set up. Let's take a look at the recent end user issues that have come in, focusing on the ones in the last week or so. Looks like there was an issue with Minecraft servers, but it's getting some discussion. Seg fault that's been targeted to the 036 release. JNI issue on AIX. Looks like most of these are getting some level of discussion already. Is there anything in this list that needs some conversation today? All right, jump back to the agenda. And that brings us to the release section. Pete, do you want to walk us through where we're at with the 035 release?
Yeah, so all the user-raised JIT issues that we had in the milestone plan have all been moved out, leaving three things. One is just the regular update to OpenSSL if there's a security update. That'll just move forward. So we've got some zlib issues on Red Hat 9 and AIX. There's a fix going in to fix one of the tests right now, and then there's still a couple of outstanding issues. Unclear if we'll be doing anything else in this release, but if not, we'll just move that forward. And then there's the JIT issue. I think there's still a fix that we're hoping to get in.
We've still got a couple of days then until the M2 build is intended to go, so it seems reasonable provided it's a low-risk fix.
Yes, agreed.
So it sounds like we're in pretty good shape for this release then.
The other thing that's going on is we're hoping to take AArch64 Mac out of early access. So there were quite a few issues opened that we thought were blockers for doing that, but there was a fix put in that's supposed to fix all of them. The only thing that would be left is some concerns about RAS support, if we have enough RAS support to support that release.
Yeah, I tried to get Kono-san's opinion on that and how much that has actually affected his ability to debug some of the problems. Not clear yet how much impact that actually has on that. So I mean, we have to make some progress on the native stack support. I think there is a PR that's been open for almost a year now that hasn't been updated in a few months. That I think we should make some progress on after JDK 19, and there's more of the team that can support that. So, I mean, at this point, I'm not sure if we need that support in order to declare that this is production ready or not. It's a nice to have.
Daryl, when you say native stack support, is that in Java cores or is that in being able to walk?
Yeah, that's the core files. Excuse me. Sorry, if I can find that issue that we're talking about here. 14201, I think, is the PR. And Eric opened last year.
14201?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for Java cores, not for native cores. So, GDB works.
Right. Yeah.
And JDumpView works. DDR.
Yeah. So there is some intersection with. Yeah. So there is some intersection with the with 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 debugging, but yeah, there are other means of perhaps getting the stacks that we need. Pete, do you have a strong opinion on this?
Not a strong one. I mean, if we think we've got enough to be able to support problems in the field, then I'm happy.
I'm not sure I understood your answer. Does DDR work on these core files?
Yes. I think one piece we might be missing, but we're also missing it on x86 Mac, is the JPAC core. My understanding that we do need some native libraries to use DDR on core files, or not DDR, native debuggers on core files. But we don't have that support. But I guess if you can duplicate the same version of the OS, then you probably have everything you need. And there's not as many Mac versions as there are variations of Linux, so it may not be as big of a problem.
Daryl, do you and Kono-san and whoever are working directly on this believe that it's supportable at this point?
I do, yes. This hasn't really impacted our analysis of any of the problems that we've had so far.
And is the GC team happy with the level of support that's there?
I think we do have everything there. By the way, DDR works, but opening file very, very slow. It's just something to optimize in future.
Toby, from a VM side, you're happy with it?
Yeah.
Sounds like there's broad support.
Yeah, so I think then if we're not seeing problems this week, now that the fix has gone into the headstream, then we should be good to go.
Yeah, there is a 0.35 fix that we haven't merged yet. I guess you know that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to get it in before the weekend, because that's when we test 0.35, but
yeah.
We can wait a day or two and see if what's happening in the headstream.
Yep. Okay.
Is there anything else for the 0.35 release? Okay. Then that brings us to Java 19. So if I have the dates correct, I believe OpenJDK has released Java 19 at this point as of today. Where are we at, Jack? The Loom side of things?
Yes, Dan. So currently we're still in the progress of getting things to be reviewed and merged, given that a lot of our reviewers are extremely busy. That have been delaying things a bit. From the Java side on JCL level, my PR for the Stack Walker have been locally tested pending a senior review before it's merged. I've been testing on JTRAG with that PR merged locally on my side, just so that we get an idea of what exactly we're looking at in terms of the Sanity OpenJDK test suite.
Sorry, Jack, I'm going to interrupt you a little bit as we go,
Yep.
just to ask questions. I thought the Stackwalker piece was intended to be merged last week.
Yes, and we are just never getting enough time to review it. I have requested review, I think, last week, but we didn't get to it due to other stuff also needing review.
Okay, so it's a review capacity issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the JTREG testing, currently we're running with ops throughput GC policy and exit on Xlinux. Out of the 27 that we have excluded due to Loom support not being ready, 15 currently passes, and 3 of them fail due to implementation differences. Either they're trying to access non-public APIs directly in the internal JCL, or they're using a particular options that we don't support. And 9 of them requires further investigation to determine the root cause of the failure. Some of them are due to pinning, and there are a few others that are hitting a particular monitor point where we have an assertion that it should not be in. I'm suspecting some of them may have to do with the fact that they're also testing the incubator for structured concurrency, which at this stage we don't support.
I thought structured concurrency was, thought we had said that was purely a Java level thing on top of.
So the way structured concurrency works is that they're allowing multiple continuations to be entered on the same thread, or virtual thread, I guess. Because we're handling the pinning and stack swaps in native code, when multiple continuations are entered, there's the issue that we will be continuing with our call to native, which would do the swapping. And that will break some of our monitor entry code, because every time when we enter a new continuation, we reset all of the monitor pin counts.
So if a virtual thread starts another virtual.
Well, it doesn't start another virtual thread. Inside the continuation, it will start another continuation.
So it sounds like we have some fundamental implementation issues to work through here.
We need to have a new path to particularly check for the case where if we're already inside a virtual thread, we need to first properly do the amount and then mount again, instead of allowing a continuation to bypass all the virtual thread stuff and just directly mount.
And how long do you think implementing that is going to take?
I don't have a current timeline. I'm going to estimate probably sometime in the frame of like 2 months to make sure everything is good. But as it is a incubator, we don't need to support it for Java 19.
I'll have to check the JEP on that. Because just because structured concurrency is an incubator doesn't mean that you can't do the same sorts of things with base virtual threads. Correct? Like what's stopping a user from doing the same sort of thing?
I think in the definition, at least for the API documentation, preview features are allowed to be used in the release, but incubator are sort of, you can use it or you can't, not guaranteed.
I think the question, Jack, is can nested continuations happen with virtual threads, just virtual threads?
Not from a user code perspective, because continuation is not public to the user.
Yep. Okay.
They may do it through reflection or other means hacking our code, but it's not supported directly as you compile and run.
By the public API. Okay.
Do we have this work? Is the design and figuring this out being worked on now?
We have a rough design for it, but we haven't gone through the detail on implementation. We had the design initially when we were drafting the virtual thread changes, and as we have evolved some of the virtual thread design, this may need to be updated.
All right, so this is the structured concurrency piece, and the nested continuations is 2 months out, at least.
Yeah.
So where are we with the JVMTI support?
JVMTI support, all of the API changes and implementations have been under review. We were able to, I think, merge about 3 or 4 PRs last week, and we have 4 under review, and this would cover all of the JVMTI APIs once these 4 are merged.
Do the tests related to these pass with these 4?
For individually, they all pass. With the last one, get list stack trace, we think there might be a potential merge conflicts between some of them with others. We will need to verify after the others are merged.
Right. Is that it on the JVMTI piece, or can we move to the GC?
This is it for the JVMTI. We have been working with the test team to enable some of the JTREG serviceability tests on our builds so that we get a better idea of what exactly JVMTI functions were failing. We still need to triage through that list. I think Lan was mentioning that out of 214 tests, we're failing about 90-ish, but some of them are implementation specific, so we can ignore part of it. And I guess that's it for the JVMTI. We'll move on to the GC side. From my side, my understanding is that GC have completed the ops throughput changes, and we're already using that for our testing. GenCon and balance is still work in progress. Is Alec or Dimitri on the call?
Yeah, I can give a quick update. We had maybe another merge or two last week, but we haven't completed all the merges for GenCon/balanced. I mean, we could really, but in our local testing, it's still not working up to our expectations. So we're kind of deferring the 1 or 2 merges yet before we fully understand why it's not really working. So yeah, so that's basically the summary. I mean, mostly it's debugging, testing and debugging on our side and understanding what's the missing part in GenCon.
Okay. Do we have a sense of when the GenCon changes will be ready?
No, before we understand what the really missing part is, could be a couple of days, could be more or way more. I don't know. Hard to say. I mean, the changes, that we have pending merge are pretty much ready for the merge, but again, without fully understanding what's the missing part here, I can't tell anything.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Where does that put us for JIT support?
I can talk to that, Jack.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have the work that we need to do completed on all the architectures. So Z has been reviewed. It's ready to merge, but it's pending a change that's coming in the X in the XPR. x86 has also had one review. There's just some minor comments that I'll get to this afternoon. AArch64, same situation. Implementation is done, and just minor comment kind of changes in that. So I'll get those fixed up this afternoon. On power, we have the changes done, but we're still seeing a crash with the JIT enabled. And Jimmy has sort of taken that as far as he can on his own at this point, and as of yesterday, he was going to reach out to GAC to get some advice on where to look next. So I don't have the latest from Jimmy today as to whether or not he was able to get in touch with GAC or not and get pointed in the right direction. So JIT is looking, other than power, JIT is not looking too bad. We should get those PRs in, I'd say, within the next day. So X, Z, and AArch64, and then power, depending on how things go. We'll get that in shortly.
All right. Thanks, guys. Zheng, where are we at with the Panama side of things?
Actually, I already merged all PRs reach OpCore. So far on Vim side, accepted a couple of pull request PRs for the bugs detected in the JTrack test for some racing code. So for AX64 already merged the code, and AX86 already finished all code change out there, and we'll submit PRs for code review. Yeah, that's about it.
So the only thing we're waiting on is the final merge of the x86 code. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, basically that's pretty much that things.
So it sounds like this is pretty well in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Is there anything else we need to touch on for the Java 19 release? Okay. Given where we're at, that branch date around of October 2nd that we had tentatively put in sounds unlikely to occur. But I guess all we can do is keep moving forward towards that and seeing when we can make that date more firm. All right. Do we have somebody from Adopt to provide the regular update there? I guess we'll skip over that. All right, Adam, is there an update for infrastructure?
Not much to say. We're going to make a new Windows machine on the old OS 2012, which is the same as what we have existing, to see if that resolves our intermittent compile issue. The machine is being set up for that. JDK 11 rollout has started, so we've done the AMAX so far. Loaded.
Thanks, Adam. Don't see Devin on the call, so we'll skip over CMake. Is on the call? Don't see Marius, so we'll skip over the JIT server as well. Next microJIT meeting is coming up September 22nd. Toby, is there an update on the CRIU support?
Yeah, nothing with respect to the actual development items. I think we need to nail down a name in OpenJ9. So I think, we've been calling it OpenJ9 CRU support. If there are no objections with this name, then I think we should decide that this is the name that we're going to use to describe this feature moving forward. I guess I'll open it up to anyone if people are okay with this name or people think that it should be called something else.
OpenJ9 CRIU support sounds pretty reasonable. It's the two things you would Google for if you were trying to find reference to this.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, Toby, I was just trying to see if anyone else had an opinion on this.
Yeah, I'll wait for others to comment.
Well, it sounds like you and I are on the same page, and nobody else is wildly objecting.
Yeah, I think we've already the APIs have this name, and it was the most sensible thing to name it when we started. So I don't have any issues continuing with this. So we are going to make an announcement more broadly next week. If anyone decides or has any ideas, I guess this week is the week you need to speak up. Starting next week, I think this is the name we're going to move forward with.
Thanks, Toby. I guess we already talked about the Mac M1 work. Is this worth keeping as a separate section down here?
Maybe until we've GA'd the full build of it, so the compressed references support. And I guess at some point we should call it M2.
Any other business we need to discuss this week?
I don't think it was pointed out last Tuesday on the call that OpenJ9 hit 5 years on GitHub.
That's pretty cool. I had not been tracking those dates closely enough. Thanks for pointing that out, Adam.
No problem.
On that positive note, if there's nothing else for today, then the next one of these calls is next week, Tuesday. I hope to talk to all of you then. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.